real estate investment and development here at Whitewater. I see some of our students out there. Good to see you all. We're going to talk about the profession of real estate. We have 4 very successful real estate professionals with us today, and they're going to share their experiences with you. As you know, I like you to ask questions, and I'm sure they'll ask you some questions as well, so be prepared for that. On our panel today, we have Brian Lawton. He's the CEO of Exit Realty. Gretchen Richards, she's the first vice president of CBRE. What's that? She is the first vice president. It's like the Ohio State. Mitchell Starczynski, he's the managing director of Newmark. And Jason Meyers, who is the CEO of, and I apologize, I forgot the name of your company, Jason, One Roof Investing. They're going to tell you about themselves, about the real estate profession and opportunities within it. And so I just want to start off with each one of you telling about yourself, your history, your company, and then we'll just go down the line, starting with Brian. Brian, thank you.
Thanks for having us. I'm really honored to be here, humbled anytime anybody asks us to be up here, and thank the other panelists as well. And it's always good to see Jason. Met him long ago at probably an event similar to this. So I am Brian Lawton. My title is CEO of Exit Realty HGM, and also the same title for Wisconsin Property Managers. In one sentence, I always tell people I'm a dad building companies. And our agency has 4 physical offices, 55 agents. We're in Janesville, Beloit. Our Beloit office is in the Iron Tech space with the Hendricks facility there. Our Janesville office is centrally located. We have an office on the square, just off the square in Madison, and then another office in Evansville. And our property management company manages just over 500 units for third-party investors. We have full staff, maintenance, sales, finance in that company as well. So I wake up every day, make sure we get the kids managed, as we were just hearing about, a little 3-year-old waking you up after the Packer game, and then go to work and just help our people, our staff, achieve their dreams, achieve their goals, whether it's work or personal. And that's kind of my day-to-day.
Wonderful, thank you. Can you hear me? My name is Gretchen Richards. I work with CBRE, which is the world's largest commercial real estate firm, which sounds weird to say in this, in this classroom, but it's true. It is the largest commercial real estate firm with over 100,000 employees. I work out of the Madison, Wisconsin office, and there's also a large office in our Milwaukee market. And one benefit, I think, there are benefits of all different types of real estate, but real estate is really a local business. So what I happen to love about my firm is that I've got the platform of this large international company. However, since real estate is a local business, you really need boots on the ground to understand the market and have the relationships in place. So it's really the best of both worlds. So I joined CBRE about 8 years ago and have had a varied past prior to that. So it felt very meandering until it didn't, right? So I focus solely on multifamily investment sales. So I sell apartment buildings all day, every day, and sometimes land. That will be apartment buildings. But if it touches apartments, then I try to be in the mix. And it's really fascinating, especially because, everyone really needs a place to live. But in my market of Madison, you see the impact of your work every single day. And I'm sure, everyone else can attest to that. That's a really gratifying part about the job, is to see the difference that you make, and you can drive by the building and say, oh my gosh, I did that. And being a part of that community building. Did I miss anything more?
Thanks for all coming on this Friday afternoon. I know it's tough. I graduated from Whitewater in 2012. So I know on Fridays it's not always the best to stick around. You want to get home. You want to go do whatever else. So thank you all for attending. My name is Mitch Starczynski with Newmark, Managing Director of the Milwaukee office. My 85% focus is on industrial real estate. So your warehouses, manufacturers, light industrial, working with both landlords, tenants, buyers, sellers, such as Marshall Park. Yeah. And so I've been doing this for 12 years now, back when I was in real estate class with Howard Olson. One of my coworkers now, Adam Matson, came up and told me about how great real estate is. You know, not only can you achieve really anything you want to, you get the opportunity to set your own hours. You get the opportunity to meet a ton of people, understand many different manufacturing processes throughout, and you get to go to Packer games at night and come here and talk to you guys in the next day. So, I mean, if you guys are interested in real estate, please talk to us afterwards, because this is an amazing, amazing opportunity. But just quickly, my day-to-day, when I'm not doing this, I get the opportunity to go out, knock on doors, again, meet different manufacturers, tenants, etc., bankers, attorneys, all that fun stuff. And I get to help my clients achieve their goals, whether it's to dispose of an asset that they no longer have use for, whether it's selling, you know, Marshall Park, a large industrial building in Delavan, and leasing it out and achieving great returns for their clients. So I love it, and look forward to talking with you guys about it.
Go ahead, Jason.
Yep. Hey, everyone. Jason Meyers here. Thanks again for having me. This is always a really fun opportunity to talk to the students and, you know, kind of share our experiences. My background in real estate actually started when I was a sophomore in college. That's where my investment journey began. I've done everything from single-family homes to small apartments, and then now what we're focusing on is self-storage. So right now we own about 750 units across Wisconsin, Michigan, and Illinois. We developed this portfolio over about 2 years. So I essentially oversee everything from acquisition to the ongoing management. Pretty small team. We got about 7 employees total, but we run this company completely remote. I'm based in Dallas, and a lot of the properties we purchased, I've actually never seen in person. So really cool how technology is advancing the way we invest in real estate. So happy to share more about that as well.
Thanks, Jason. I appreciate it. So I realize we have investors here, we have brokers, we have property managers. I'd like to go back down the line and talk, you know, about those roles that you play every day and what that would look like for you coming out of Whitewater, what those jobs might look like. And I'm totally changing what I told them I was going to talk about, so I'm apologizing ahead of time, but I just thought it'd be important as I sit here.
Yeah, so I think as some of the others on the panel have told you, real estate is fascinating because the way I look at it, no matter, you know, a lot of people talk about the market. They're worried about interest rates. They're worried about how's the market? How's the market? The reality is, if you're good in this business, you don't care how the market is. The market is just the market. It's nothing. It's no emotion. It's nothing. You can pivot though, and you know, in multifamily as an example, or you know, that's a great space right now that our agents or brokers or you know, people that run brokerages are trying to figure out is, how do we repurpose big spaces, shopping malls, bowling alleys, old banks? You know, that's exciting. And whoever can solve those problems pivoted into an entire new niche in real estate and the challenge that real estate people face now. In our company, we focus on residential mostly. We do commercial sales as well. We do a little bit of multifamily, big multifamily, not to the level of some others, but so our agents primarily are selling houses for people to live in. Our management company is an all under one roof approach for investors. They can come to us with a wealth plan, a strategy, a vision of how they want to invest money, whether that's into industrial or to residential real estate, multifamily real estate, and we help them execute that vision. They have a goal. Our job is to get them from where we are today to that goal. And sometimes that means an exit strategy. Sometimes that means generational wealth planning. It just depends. It could be the guy off Bigger Pockets that, hey, I've got 150 grand. I want to buy a little single family. We can help that. And we help people that are out of state that know that Rock County, South Central Wisconsin, Dane County, wherever, is a great, great place to exist in real estate. We're lucky to have two of the wealthiest people in the world, certainly in America, one living and operating in Verona, basically, and one down in Janesville and Beloit, and the lake effect of that. So I think, interestingly, is that you can pivot to anything you want in real estate, depending on what your interest is. If the economy's low, you pivot to foreclosures or some other stuff, but there's just a lot of opportunity.
What's the question again? I could.
But
I
being
could
a
talk
broke,
about
what
all of
what
this.
does a broker look like
Okay.
for you?
The thing is, like, I was listening to your answer, and I'm like, I could just keep, keep going and going and going on it. So yeah, okay, I will. But I just also want to make sure I'm answering the question. I want to turn politician on you, Mark. Well, I will continue on that a little bit because I have worked both in property management. I've actually been a lender with a multifamily focus as well. So there is a variety of paths you can go. And I would like to commend all of you because I have a history degree from UW-Madison. Like, y'all have your act together a lot more than I did at your age. So, but now, I broker the largest commercial real estate firm in the world. We've closed over $140 million this year. So there is no one path of getting where you want to go. And you may not even realize that real estate is an avenue where you'd like to explore until later in life, and that's okay. And whatever your entree point, you will be learning something from it. So as mentioned earlier, I started out working in student housing after graduation in Madison and worked for several different student housing conglomerates. And after that, I was recruited to be a lender with a real estate focus specific to multifamily. And then that went awry in 2007, 2008. You may have heard about that time, especially lately. But then eventually I did pivot into multifamily investment sales. And I will be totally honest with you, it is a rocky road to start. Brokerage is not for the faint of heart. The barrier is high. And when I say barrier, I mean both. You have to have someone willing to teach you something. This is definitely a business where you learn by doing it. And then secondly, you're not going to make a lot of money for a minute. And by minute, I mean like 2 years. So that was the hardest part of all of it, because you really, it's more mental than anything, because I knew that I could do it. It's just a matter of like, it's like a marathon. Can I withstand like how long this is going to take? Because the deal cycle takes a while. You don't know anything. Nobody wants to work with you yet. Or at least maybe that was just my experience, but in talking to other people, I'm not entirely alone. So maybe the runway will be less rocky for you, but it is certainly worth it, because when you turn a corner, you really turn a corner, which is helpful. But the main thing I want to say is, stay the course. There is no bad experience you can get along the way, because it will really add up to who you are and what you bring to the table. And while it may feel like it's unrelated, it will all benefit you eventually.
That's really good advice. Grit and perseverance, no matter what you do, no matter where you go, no matter who you meet, is going to help you be successful. Maybe, Mitch, you could talk about the kill what you eat from a broker standpoint and what that actually means.
Yeah, I mean, kind of to tie into what Gretchen was talking about, real estate is a long process. Again, I started 12 years ago. There are groups that I've been talking to for the last 12 years that I'm still waiting to do my first transaction with. There are deals from start to finish, from when I start looking with a group or put a property under contract, that can take years. So it's not something that just happens. Well, there are a couple deals that happen just like that. But those are few and far between. So kill what you eat. Again, in this business, you can make $0 or you can make a good amount of money, right? So it's all about the time and effort that you want to put into it. If you don't want to go to work tomorrow, that's fine. But know that you're not putting in the additional work and effort to get that next deal. So that's very important. And to kind of also piggyback off what Gretchen was saying right away, you are making $0. So that kind of sucks when all your buddies want to go out on Friday nights and they don't want to go to the dive bar anymore after college. They want to take a step up, or they want to go out to a nice dinner. And you just got to look at them and say, I'll have a water, or I'll stay at home and maybe we'll go with the ramen noodles.
I don't think that's true, Mitch, that you were just drinking water. But if anybody wants, everybody's seen the photograph of the Detroit Lions guy getting beer poured on him. Mitch is in the background.
I was not the person pouring the beer. But yeah, real estate is such an amazing opportunity. It touches each and every one of us in one way, shape, or form. You guys all either rent or own your places now. That's real estate. Your parents' house is real estate. The land that this sits on, it's real estate. And there are so many different avenues, like they were saying, that you can get into. You can be a property manager. You can be a lender, an attorney, an appraiser, a broker. There are so many different facets, but yes, the biggest thing is just to stay the course. The first 2 to 3 years will be 2 to 3 years might be a struggle, but it's important for you to stay consistent, for you to have good mentors, good teammates that can pick up for you and teach you along the way. So whether that's in real estate or some other field, make sure you're part of a good team.
So you have CBRE, which is the largest brokerage firm in the world, and Newmark is one of the largest as well. If you can get on with one of these firms, you're going to get that get that mentoring. They actually will bring deals from out of state clients to you. There'll be a lot of opportunity. Well, maybe not for you, but I know in the industrial world. And Mitch, as he said, we've done a lot of deals together. And the last deal we did was a company out of Texas that came to Delavan. Now I want to turn to Jason. Jason, you had to pull the trigger and become an investor. Maybe you can talk to the students about how you're able to take that first step, because taking the first step in any adventure, as Brian also knows, is really hard. And if you could just talk about that and how that has progressed to the success you've seen today.
Yeah, so as you can see in the real estate space, there's so many different things you can do. And when I started in that space, it was a little overwhelming, right? Like, how am I going to manage the property? How am I going to find money? How am I going to do the repairs? Who's going to be my attorney? Right? There's so much going on. And at that point in my life, when I was in college, I was just hungry to learn. So the first property I actually bought was an individual that I met on Bigger Pockets. And I grabbed a cup of coffee with him saying, hey, I want to learn investing in real estate. I know you own a couple of properties in the Whitewater area. What can I do to show you value and do a deal together? Right? I was in school. I didn't have a lot of money. So he gave me a small percentage ownership just to do the really small things and then have him oversee it. So when we were looking at a property, he would give me, hey, here's an Excel model out what you think the income and expenses will be. And I would do that. He would look at it and say, hey, these parts are right. These parts are incorrect, but let me show you how to do it. Right. So I'm learning with him on financial modeling. And now we're going to go to repairs, right? So we were fixing up the house. How do we estimate the budget to do a new kitchen, a new bathroom, and a new basement? I don't have any construction skills, but let me go out there, I'll do the grunt work, and I'm going to learn how to do that. So really my entry point was just willingness to learn. And for him, the value was, hey, there's someone willing to do some of the work that I probably am trying to step away from as I'm growing my business. So you don't need to know much or even anything about real estate to get started. I purely started my business on a willingness to learn. Now, fast forward, it's probably about 8 years since I started in real estate. We have a team that helps, underwrite deals, raise capital for deals, manages the properties post-acquisition. So once you're in the field, you understand what areas you enjoy and what areas maybe you don't enjoy so much. So for me, I love talking to people, so I'm on the sales side. I'm calling owners throughout the day, asking them about their properties and if they ever thought about selling to us. And then I'm also a numbers guy, so I can analyze those deals and see if they make sense. If so, that goes on to my other business partner. He's good at managing the transactions. He's good at finding the money for the deal. And then post-closing, we have a property management individual who helps run it. So when you go into the space, you don't know what areas you might like or might not like. But through experience, you'll find out, hey, I really like this aspect of the business and not so much this aspect of the business. And then obviously pursue the one that you enjoy most. But without going out there and giving it a shot, you're not going to know, what certain areas of real estate you enjoy or don't enjoy.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it. So for the last, up until about a year ago, interest rates, money was cheap. And if you're in my class, when money's cheap, cap rates are low, values of real estate are high. That has changed significantly in the last 12 months as the Fed has raised the rate 525 basis points, and it's created a challenge for us. What I want to ask the panel today is, with those challenges, what kind of opportunities do you see in the marketplace for a student that's coming out of Whitewater who knows how to do financial analysis really, really well because they took my class, right? All right, so I'll start with Brian. Thanks.
So I think the biggest challenge, if I was you, or this is the stuff I tell my kids too. Like real estate, when is the time to buy real estate? The answer is now, and it always is now. And if you have the money and you have the responsible nature about you, that you're going to take care of the asset, you're going to invest the money needs to be invested, you're going to look after it, have it under good management, then over a decade, if you look through history, values go up. So when is the right time to buy real estate? It's now, but you have to have those first two factors knocked. I think investors get in trouble, or single-family home buyers get in trouble if they're not taking care of their asset. It's declining in value as a result of their actions. So just that is one piece of advice, which means it's always a good time to get into real estate. We had 60,000 agents leave the business nationwide from January to May, and now 30,000 got back in by the end of August. We have a net 30,000 loss in National Association of Realtors membership in our country right now. Ultimately, to answer your question, Mark, what advice do I have to get in? It's patience. And you heard that from Gretchen, you heard that from Mitch. In your 20s, you're not going to remember the money. I'm 50 now. You're not going to remember the money you did or didn't make in your 20s. So if you can deploy patience, and the number one financial advice, just avoid debt. It gives you the opportunity to sit with Gretchen, Mitch, Mark, Jason, raise your hand and say, in my 20s, I'm going to be patient, and I'm going to taste all this stuff in real estate. And I'm going to get close to people that I view, whatever definition of a success you have, there's Gretchen's successful. I'll work for free for 6 months. Is that okay? Do you have things I could do? Okay, no. Mitch, what about you? Could I work for free for you? I'll do anything for 6 months. You seem to define my definition of success. So if you're willing to be patient, avoid debt, I think that is the number one piece of advice I could give you for experience. And Jason just hit on it. That's exactly what he did.
So I'm going to be a little contrarian because levered IRRs are half my conversations during a day. So I personal debt, yes, but professional debt, especially in real estate, is how you get your deals done. I mean, you're not bringing 100% of your, of your deal to the table here. And I wouldn't advise you to do that because that's likely not in your overall best interest just because, I mean, you could use the bank's money. So as far as opportunities, I'll talk both on market opportunities, but then also, personal opportunities. In this market, I mean, what we're seeing, because all I do is sell properties, so I underwriting properties all day, every day, and we're seeing things that are a little less cap rate driven, because cap rates and interest rates do kind of dance together. We're seeing about 100 basis point increase in interest rates equal about a 60 bip increase in cap rate. So they're not one for one, but they do kind of dance together. But really, we underwrite for return. So for example, I know that if I can get a year one cash on cash of like 6-ish, and then a levered IRR over the term of about 14, I know that I can get investors interested in that property. So as much as, yes, people want to say, what's going on, like what's a cap rate on this? You really need to take a deeper dive into it, and your debt definitely does matter. Do you get interest only? Do you not? Depending on the asset type, is it occupied? Do you have a revenue stream? Do you not? So there is certainly opportunity to structure your deal a variety of different ways depending on the asset. So, and there will always be contrarian. So for example, we're selling, and we just closed on a different property in Milwaukee, but we're selling a property that is an office conversion to multifamily. So you brought this up, or I forget, was it? Yeah. Adaptive reuse. We've also sold a hotel that got converted to multifamily. So there are always opportunities within the market for a contrarian play. But then, like starting out, it's wise just to learn solid, fundamentals from someone who's doing it and doing it well. I saw a lot of people come into multifamily because it's hot, and it is easier to mitigate your risk. When you have a large industrial client that leaves, leaves a property versus 3 renters in a 100-unit building, I mean, it mitigates your risk in a different way. So that's part of the reason, given the volatility in the market, that people were attracted and diversified into multifamily. So there's something to be said for sound fundamentals. And even if you're, going to work with a firm that feels boring, there's a lot to learn there, because their balance sheet probably will knock your socks off in their very boring ways.
I love to hear a history major talk about interest rates, cap rates, BIPs. So this is what we teach here at Whitewater. How long did it take you to learn all of that as far as financial analysis?
I don't really remember, right? Because I mean, I've been working in the multifamily space for a long time, so it was a gradual process. But I mean, really in-depth underwriting probably didn't start until I started with CB. Well, no, I started at the bank.
I bet you did. You did. Yes. So, I mean, Mitch, when you have a new broker, I mean, you expect that they're going to understand what cap rates are and how interest rates affect those, right? So those are things that we're teaching here. Tell us what opportunities what do you expect students to have, and what opportunities are out there for them?
Yeah, so I'll talk market as a whole right now. So in any year, really, there is always an opportunity. So the correct answer is to get into real estate now. From an investing side or an owner-user side, I have guys kicking me because 5 years ago, they could have bought a 20,000 square foot building for $1 million, and now it's $1.5 million to $2 million. And I'm sure you can talk to any investor here. They kick themselves because they didn't invest heavier in the downturn of 2008 to 2012. So the answer is, it is always the correct time to get in real estate. We're seeing some groups that have always been cautious, even more cautious now because of the rise in interest rates. But the people that need to do something, that need to expand their business, that need to right size or make it more efficient for them, they're still doing it. So the guys that need to do stuff, the people that need to do stuff, are going to do it no matter what the market is. And then there's also opportunity, because we're seeing in Milwaukee right now that there are groups throughout the country
that a couple years ago, they just ate up all of the industrial space they could get. There wasn't enough. And now we're seeing people look at their floor footprints, understand if it's valuable space to them or not, and then they're shutting down some operations. I mean, we just saw Mopar in Milwaukee announce that they're closing down their place. I think that was, let's say, about 1 million square feet. And there was a couple of other big guys, Rexnord shutting down West Milwaukee potentially here coming up. So that's going to be 1.5 million, 2 million square feet of space for reuse. So there is always opportunity. And for you guys, especially right now, is a great time. When we look at our brokers, industrial brokers specifically throughout the country, a lot of those people are 45, 50 plus years old. Now is a great time for you to get in there, tie on to them, and do anything and everything they ask for, and then more, right? Always ask the question. That's what I did right away, and it helped me out. Our younger broker, he's now been doing it 5 years, but when he first started out, we put him all on all the smaller projects. I didn't have to go out there and do the tours, right? I still helped negotiate the deal, but I didn't have to spend the additional time driving the 30 minutes there for a 2,500 square foot unit lease, and I got to spend my time on something more valuable. He gained experience, compensation, and our trust, right? So there is always an opportunity. Find that, do everything that is asked for and more.
Thanks, Mitch. By the way, 50 is, don't put me out to pasture just yet. I got a lot of life left to live here, buddy. Hey, Jason, why don't you let the students know what kind of opportunities you see out there in the marketplace, maybe as an investor like you were coming out of Whitewater.
Yeah, I think looking at it in the frame of reference of where we are now. So we started buying storage 2 years ago. So on an interest rate standpoint, we have interest rates as low as 4% in our portfolio and up to 7.5%. So the one thing I'll note is there are always opportunities out there, no matter what the cap rate is or what the interest rate is. It just has to make financial sense. So from our approach, right, we're working with generally small business owners. So a lot of the properties we buy is, owned by a husband and wife, and they've been running a storage facility for 30 years, and it was their retirement plan. So one opportunity that we see really impactful right now is something called seller financing. So instead of us obtaining financing from a bank, we approach the owner to say, hey, you're asking a premium for your property, and the bank won't finance that, right? So the numbers don't make sense. But would you be willing to be the bank to us at a little bit more favorable terms so we can achieve your higher purchase price? So what that allows us to do is, one, we give them the higher price they want. Two, we generally get better interest rates or better terms working with the individual. And three, the thing that we see really impactful, especially if people kind of looking to retire from running their property, is they get paid interest, right? So just like a bank, you're paying principal and interest. Some of these individuals are making hundreds of thousands of dollars of interest on top of a higher purchase price we paid, and that still makes the deal work for us. So I think the one thing that we're seeing in the space that we play is get creative. You don't have to go through traditional financing to finance your deal. There's a lot of creative ways to do it, and I think, at least in the self-storage space, that's how a lot of the smaller transactions are going through right now.
That's great advice, Jason. So we should open it up to some questions that you may have for our panelists. So who's got a question?
So how was your position affected during COVID, and what are some things that have kind of changed how you do business, like now versus prior to COVID or anything like that?
So on the industrial side, I can say that COVID, although it was very unfortunate that it happened, has helped us out tremendously. We're seeing new construction left and right, not as much anymore, but that really changed our sector. industrial and multifamily, I guess, were the hottest sectors and have been for years now. From how I work, look, I still go out and see clients every day, so that hasn't changed. Maybe there's a couple more Zoom calls or Teams meetings, which are typically more efficient from a timing standpoint, that I don't need to drive the 30, 45 minutes, whatever it is, to meet with a client when I can just do it that way. That's really it. Yeah.
As a industrial developer as well, when the pandemic hit, I'll echo, our business took off. We were doing a deal a month. It was just nuts. It was unbelievable because it was the Amazon effect, right? Everybody couldn't go to the store, and all the bricks and mortar were turning into warehouses. And so we needed more warehousing. And so it was unbelievable growth, explosive growth during the pandemic for industrial.
Yeah, so for COVID, what we saw as a major change was our property tours. So if we were marketing a property, we made sure to have virtual tours. And then also, I mean, a lot of apartment buildings are very full, so people did not want us in their units. Normally, if you're selling an apartment building, you've got, maybe 10, 12, I mean, sometimes we've had 25 groups that wanted to go through an apartment building, in which case you don't want all that foot traffic, and people are very skittish to have anyone in their units at all, which is completely understandable. So we did have to pivot a bit with more virtual tours, sometimes making sure that we beef up the virtual tours and saying no in-person tours until best and final. So for example, when we market a property, the general kind of way it would go is we market it, you do a call for offers, you get all the offers in, and then you go look at those, renegotiate, and then your best and final round and get, the best pricing. Maybe you have 3 groups in that. Only those 3 groups were able to tour. So that was one nuance that we definitely saw. And then personally, I'm an in the office kind of person. I burnt myself to an absolute crisp because my computer was just always there, and it's if it's there, then I just keep working. So I learned a lot about myself and what not to do as far as that was concerned, making sure that I have better boundaries around, when I log out.
I mean, I think they've covered it. Marketing, I think in the residential side, what we saw overnight, which was, it was a lot harder pre-COVID, but you could close deals remotely. One day you couldn't in our state, and the next day you could. I mean, the virtual tours, the reality is we were considered an essential component to our economy, so we were allowed to continue to work through that time. And, if you had a pulse in the business, you were busy.
You have anything to add, Jason?
I would comment from an operations side of being a storage owner. It actually helped us out greatly. So beforehand, how a lot of people would operate facilities is if someone rents a unit, you need to go there, unlock it, show it to them, and then they would rent the unit. So very similar to touring an apartment unit, you generally need to do it in person. And when COVID hit, it allowed us to do actually no tours, right? If you think of a storage unit, it's really a garage door with 3 walls in it, and that's where you store your items. So it allowed us to automate that whole process. So now when someone rents a unit, they don't go tour it first. They generally know what storage units look like. And when they pay and sign their lease, we text them a code to get inside the building or inside their unit, and that's it. So it allowed us to completely automate that move-in process. And again, I'm based in Dallas, Texas. We have a couple people to help with some of the facilities, but every single facility we own is unmanned. So there's not an office, someone doesn't work there each day. So that property can run smoothly without having anyone be there in person now. So it forced us to adopt technology and automation to run our business.
Thanks, Jason. We have time for one more question. I saw somebody had their hand up back there. Where you at?
So I have a question for Brian. What's been your craziest, wildest tenant interaction?
Well, I mean, I think we all have stories of that. Mark was just telling a story about the Delavan building. I mean, there's all kinds of them. You can imagine, well, you probably can't imagine, actually. I think the ones that stick with you, the ones I can never remember, are the ones that just really make you mad and you just forget them and move on. The ones that stick with me are just the heartfelt ones. I remember when I got started as a real estate investor and we were touring a property, just a single family home, and you're good to go in, whatever. You get the clearance from the agent and you open the door. And I learned long ago, especially in residential, less so in industrial, you ring, you bang it, you open it, you yell into it. You don't want to walk into any sort of all kinds of situation. But anyway, did the whole thing, and we knew they weren't there, and we walked in. It was middle of the week, middle of the school day, and we scared the absolute out of us. There was a young person laying on the couch. There was only a couch, a TV, and then a dining room table in this whole thing. And, that was, I don't know, 10-year-old boy. And it was during the school day, and there was nobody else in the house, and we woke him up. And that's where he lived. He wasn't sick. He just was alone, and nobody saw him off to school. And the reason things like that stick with me as wild or crazy is because I think no matter what you do in real estate, whether it's industrial, multifamily, the self-storage, the residential, or helping investors in any capacity, you have to make sure you know why you're there. Why are you in the deal? And the number one reason you're in a deal is to add value. Our last three letters of our company are HGM, help, gratitude, and mindset. And, you are there to help people. And sometimes you have to help a 10-year-old boy make sure he's safe, even though you're there to buy a building. And so, as you go into your business life, I think wild and crazy just gives you opportunity to be, to make a difference. And I really believe that no matter what business you're in. I know you were hoping for like the spray paint. I mean, we've had all kinds. Cats, locked in, hoarders, cats locked in foreclosure closets that have clawed the back end of it, and you got to redo subfloor and the smell, all that stuff, black mold, like the whole nine. But it's people. That's what this is about.
Well, those are really good words of advice, Brian, and I think we've run out of time, and we're over time, and I apologize for that. But I want to thank our panelists for their time and their advice and all the good words of wisdom. Thank you for coming here today and imparting on these young, impressionable students what you can look for, both in real estate, business, and life. Thank you. Let's have a round of applause.